Hello, 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 YouTube. I am here. I've been trying to get here for the last number of days and post this video, but shit has been crazy in my life. You may notice there's some differences in the backdrop here. More on that later, possibly a few months from now, but I'll let you know for sure what's going on. But anyways, let's get into the 5 things I have recently completed. And it starts with a series of books I found on Thrift Books and I ordered quite a few of. This is the only book from this particular series. There's other brands that I ordered in this kind of series, but this is the only one from the franchise that I've gotten this one so far, and it probably will be my last one. I'm focusing on more on the other ones, but I should probably stop focusing at all, but it is what it is. Indiana Jones and the Lost Treasure of Sheba. Now this is called Find Your Fate Adventure. So when I was a kid in the 80s, there was a series of books called Choose Your Own Adventure. So you may know what I'm talking about. It may just be a different name, but same concept. You read through a story, and they're more kids books, and you're presented with a choice. Like, if you want your character to do this, turn to page 44. If you want them to do this, turn to page 16. And then you follow through that, and you're usually presented with a number of choices in each story. Sometimes it'll end in you failing miserably or dying. Sometimes you may escape or whatever. And sometimes you may reach the ultimate goal of what your quest was, sort of thing. So in this one, in this book was published in 1984, Indiana Jones travels to Ethiopia at the behest of a guy named George Ballantyne, I think his name is. He's been taken captive by the fascists in Ethiopia at the time, and his young son Roger is meeting Indiana Jones, and together they're going to try and rescue Roger's father George, and also hopefully claim the lost treasure of Sheba. George is a wanted man because he knows a lot about the lost treasure of Sheba, and he's also a scientist who's come up with this special kind of laser beam sort of thing. So they're also interested in that. So, yeah, I read through a number of different end results in this book, and I found the lost treasure of Sheba, and we escaped. Sometimes we were just able to get George and get out of there and not claim the treasure, and several times I met my doom. So I was really taken with these books as a kid. So but they were all just random stories sort of thing. So when I found these Find Your Fate adventures, and it was the Indiana Jones series, let's just say that there's a whole bunch of other cool franchises from the 80s that also had books written in this style, and they are the ones I focused on more so than the Indiana Jones. So they'll be coming eventually, and they are going to be epic. Next up, book 3 in the Shadow of the Avatar trilogy, All Shadows Fled. So this is the last book. This is where everything wraps up. Written in 1995, just like the other two. So as this book kicks off, Sharantir, Belcrum, and Ithar have escaped from the Castle of Shadows, where they laid waste to a bunch of the Molagrim shapeshifter evildoers. But now they run into some other trouble, and soon enough, a army of Zhentarim are attacking the Dalelands, which is like Shadowdale, Mistledale, and like there's thousands of Zhentarim soldiers and many mages as well. But through superior magic and superior tactics, these heroes, along with their other allies like Storm Silverhand, Sailoon, are able to turn them back and keep them at bay and eventually lay them to waste. But while this is all going on, a number of the Molagrim that escaped the Castle of Shadows when the Rangers 3 slew so many escaped, and they're also causing havoc all across the Dalelands. So after and during this battle, some people go off to hunt Molagrim and seem to be able to bring them to heel. But along the way, there's rumors that Elminster has perished and he's dead, as well as Storm Silverhand, I think was the rumor. But it's not true. He shows his face eventually in the end. But just when they think they have everything wrapped up, there's a twist in the end. And Dalgrave, who is I think the leader of the Malagram, and who was the one who was working on this cloak of shadows that would allow the Malagram to just travel through the land without being seen and would cause so much chaos, reveals himself and thinks he has the drop on them, but Elminster might have something else to say about it. So in the end, the Zents are all turned aside, they're all destroyed, and most of the Malagram are destroyed, and whichever forces of theirs are remaining kind of have to go into hiding and kind of recuperate and replenish their numbers, sort of thing. So a peace has spread across the land thanks to all these heroes. So an entertaining trilogy for sure. The way I'm choosing to read all my Realms, Forgotten Realms books is I'm going to do a trilogy or a series. Sometimes there's 5 or 6 books in a series, but mostly they're trilogies. I'm going to read a trilogy, and then I'm going to read a standalone book. And the order I'm reading them in is kind of just, sometimes you get a feel for a series, like just by glancing at the cover art and whatnot, that, oh, I think I'm really going to like this one, and I don't think I'm going to like this one quite as much as that one. So I'm reading them in order of what I feel is going to be my least favorite to my most favorite. So these ones are apparently going to be my least favorite. That's what I've judged them from the cover anyway. Never judge a book by its cover, but I have done that. I've done that a lot. So that's kind of the routine I'm using for reading all these Forgotten Realms books, just so you know. Next up, a couple movies. Blue Beetle. Finally got around to watching this. It's a 2023 DC superhero movie. It starts off with this cutscene in Antarctica where this woman named Victoria Cord, who runs Cord Industries, they've been searching for something up there. They finally find it. It's this alien artifact called a scarab. It looks like a blue beetle, obviously. And she's ecstatic, so they take it back to their headquarters. And in the meantime, we see this young man named Jaime Garcia graduate from college, from Gotham Law University, something like that, and comes back to his hometown of Palmera City, which is kind of like, looks like a tropical kind of place, with a big Latino population. Kind of reminded me of like a Cuba or something. I don't know. It kind of had that kind of Caribbean flair to it or whatever. And he comes home but he finds out his family's going to be evicted soon because they've run into money troubles. And so his sister says, oh, I can get you a job at where I clean, which is at Victoria Cord's mansion. So she gets her brother Jaime a job there, and inadvertently he gets caught up in an argument between Victoria Cord and her, I think, niece, Jenny Cord. They're at opposite ends of the spectrum, and Jaime kind of steps in and does his thing, and Jenny's like, thanks. Why don't you stop by the office tomorrow, and I can try and see if we can get you a job, because he's trying to get a job so bad to try and help his family not lose their home, right? So he shows up the next day at the big towering building, Cord Industries, and Jenny is caught up in something. She's gone in to the lab and stolen the Blue Beetle artifact from the lab and is trying to escape, but they sound the alarm, and she's like, Jaime's just trying to get her attention. He's like, you promised me like a job opportunity. And she's like, take this, man. It's in a little takeout box. And so he's so confused, but he goes home with it. And then his family makes him open it. And when he does, the Blue Beetle goes inside of him and kind of bonds with him. And soon enough, he's got these legs, and he grows this carapace, and he's got these legs coming out, and he's got all these superpowers. And the Blue Beetle's talking to him inside of his head and stuff. And so eventually Jenny catches up with Jaime and his family and explains kind of what is going on. So Victoria Cord is using this Blue Beetle technology to create an army of drones, kind of thing called the OMAC technology or something like that. And she has a thug by the last name of Carapax who already has some of this technology installed in him and is promised to have this scarab power when all is said and done. But Jaime's obviously hijacked it inadvertently. So what the rest of the movie ends up being is Victoria Cord and her goons trying to get Jaime, kidnap him, and get this technology back. And along the way, they like ruin his home, burn it to the ground. His father has a heart attack and dies. So there's all this collateral damage. And eventually Jenny reveals that, oh, my father was the original Blue Beetle. He didn't have the scarab. He used other ways. And he might have the secret in his lab of getting this thing out of you, sort of thing. So they go there and whatever. But they can't figure it out. And soon enough, Victoria and her goons are after them again. And Jaime eventually gets captured. And he's kind of having the life sucked out of him as they try and recover this Blue Beetle, this scarab, for their own purposes. So it's up to Jenny and Jaime's family to step up to the plate, use the original Blue Beetle's technology and know how to free Jaime, get him back and save the day. So, and in the end, it ends in a bit of a revenge scenario for Carapax once the truth is revealed to him about Victoria Cord and kind of what she did to him and his family. So, DC has had a lot of swings and misses over the years, but for a character I didn't know anything about until this movie came out, I thought this movie was really well done. George Lopez was in it as Jaime's uncle, I think, and he was really funny and was in a lot of the action. And I just thought it was really well done. The actors were all great. The action was great. The effects were great. I really liked the story. It's not super original. Like, we've seen this kind of story before where, you know, like Venom, right? The symbiote bonds with Eddie Brock, and now we've got this kind of superhero, well, he's kind of the anti-superhero, but same sort of thing. It's not that original, but they did a good job of making it stand out amongst those type of films. You know, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'd recommend, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth the watch. Next up, finally got around to watching this, and I was so happy. John Wick 4. So, in this one, John Wick is out to get the high table. He's been on the run for a while now. Everybody's after him. There's a bounty on his head, and he's like, I gotta end this. So he's going after the high table, and he starts by going to that desert. He's been there before. We saw him go visit this guy before. He's kind of like I forget his name, but he kind of watches over the whole high table. And the guy's like, John, if you kill me, it's not going to change anything. The high table's still going to come back. Boom! Right? Don't give a fuck. You're dead. So there's one more off the list. I'll just go kill the rest now, right? So in response for doing this, the high table goes to New York City to the, what's it called? The hotel there. I forget what it's called, but that hotel in New York where they all do their business, and it's neutral ground and all that. And I forget his name. Winston, that runs the place, is told, you fucked up. You didn't kill John when you had the chance. Well, now here come the repercussions. So they kill his aide, his maitre d', or whatever the hell he's called, Caron, whatever his name is, and then blow up the hotel. So Winston's kind of like, well, I'm fucked. So meanwhile, John, after killing this overseer of the high table, goes to the Osaka branch of this hotel, where the guy who runs it, him and John are old friends, and the guy gives him refuge against the guy's daughter's wishes. She doesn't want John there anywhere. She knows it's going to bring hell down on them. Soon enough, goons from the high table come in, and there's a big fight, and the girl's father is killed. Her and John escape, whatever, and the guy that's been behind this whole high table hits on John and on the hotels is a guy, one of the high table members named the Marquis something. So he's the guy that's causing all this trouble for John. So John travels back to New York, meets up with Winston. He's like, how do I end this? And Winston's like, well, you got to kill the Marquis. And he's like, but it's going to be a hard task. Well, you got to kill them all, but the Marquis is the biggest pain in your ass right now. But if you just kill the Marquis and end this whole thing, you can be done with it in one shot. And the way to do that is to challenge him to a duel and set the parameters. Like, we have a duel. If I win, my name is cleared. Winston gets his hotel back, blah, blah, blah. And life goes back to normal. If you win, well, I'm dead. So there you go. Right? So, but in order to challenge Marquis to a duel, John needs to belong to a crime family, because now he's excommunicado. He doesn't belong to anybody. So he goes to Berlin and tries to get in there with some people who he thinks are going to be friendly to him and allow that. But they're like, no, John, no, you've caused too much trouble. And he's like, well, tell me what I got to do. And they're like, well, maybe if you go kill this guy who killed our guy, then we might let you back in. So John does it, gets back in. Then he challenges the Marquis to a duel. The parameters are set, and the time and the place are set. But the Marquis is not going to let it go that easily. He sends everything he's got after John so that John won't even make the duel. But you know John Wick, he's really good at killing people. So he makes it. And I'm not going to spoil the ending because it's pretty cool. But let's just say that it's the last John Wick, or at least it seems like it's the last John Wick. And it was pretty fucking epic. So, yeah. Last up, WWE 2K23 for the PS4. If you watch my gameplay footage, you will know I played a shitload of this game, as it was very well done. So much fun. It keeps you coming back with a lot of modes. You have a lot of modes and a lot of match options. So one of the main modes is just the regular play mode, where you can just go in and play one-off matches. You can earn points for it to unlock stuff in the store, extra characters, extra rings, whatever, extra belts. And they have all sorts of match types. Like they have the triple threat, the fatal four-way, tag teams. They have war games. They have Royal Rumble, right? They have every kind of match type. And so you can just go in there and play whatever you want. The main mode of the game, I think that it's kind of showcased around, is called Showcase. So it takes you through a bunch of John Cena's most infamous matches throughout his career. And before each match, he's kind of in a studio with a microphone, and he's kind of talking about the match, what it meant, how it went, and his remembrances on it. And then you partake in that match as his opponent to try and beat him, like happened in real life. But the hard part about it is you're given instructions on what you got to do next to John, like what moves you have to perform, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes they can be hard to pull off. So you're trying to pull them off and you end up getting whacked a little bit. He ends up trying to pin you. So it's pretty easy to lose. It's hard in a lot of cases to make it through those whole matches, do everything you have to do, and beat it in full. And you want to do that because they come with all sorts of unlockables if you achieve all the objectives in these matches. And it was a really fun mode. There was a My GM mode, which you basically just run one of the 4 shows, like NXT, SmackDown, Raw. Was it only 3? I thought there was 4 shows. Oh, WCW Nitro. There, you can also do that one. And you basically just draft your superstars, set your matchups, build your rivalries, blah, blah, blah. And it's a neat mode in concept, but I didn't really mesh well with it. I didn't really capture it. And so I played it for a little bit. I wanted to get some trophies on that mode, but I sucked at it and I didn't really like it. So it was a cool concept, like I said, but I don't have much patience for those types of modes unless they're really easy. And yeah, I just didn't mesh well with it, sort of thing. There's a universe mode where you pick a superstar and then you play through weeks of wrestling and create rivalries and stuff. That one was okay, but I didn't really love it. My Faction is a mode where you can play online. You can play these tower matches. It was a good mode. I enjoyed that a lot. And then other than Showcase mode, my other favorite mode was called My Rise. So there's 2 options in My Rise. There's the Legacy and there's the Lock. So if you pick the Legacy, you are tasked with creating a female character who descends from a famous wrestler that came before her, and you have to make your way through the WWE and to success, while having people doubt you, that you just got there because of your lineage, sort of thing. So that storyline was a lot of fun. And then the Lock, you come in, you play as a guy this time, you create your character, and you come in as the next big thing, and try to take WWE by storm, but you face many setbacks, and you get fired for a while, and then you come back and reinvent yourself, sort of thing. And those modes were a lot of fun, like good storytelling, lots of funny moments, and of course, lots of wrestling. So the game itself, there's lots of unlockables. There's, like I said, there's characters, rings, belts, all sorts of stuff to unlock. And so it keeps you going and keeps you going. And the wrestling itself, the game looks great, it sounds great, the commentators are hilarious, and it controls great. It's really easy and intuitive to play this game, which is amazing for a wrestling game. You need that. If you don't have that, it can be kind of a herky-jerky, not as nearly as much fun experience sort of thing, right? So really enjoyed that game. I do want to get 2K24, but not quite yet. I'll wait till it's in the bargain bin a long time from now, because I played that one so much. I might need a little break from the wrestling video games, right? So anyways, and as you know, as you can see, I'm wearing the last of my football practice jerseys. This one's one of those like holy meshy ones, so you can see all my fleshy goodness underneath, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, that's all for now. I will get working on the next 5 things. In fact, I already have, and I will be back ASAP. Peace.
Meow.